Welcome back everyone to another video. In today's video we're going to be analyzing one of Emory Tate's beautiful games of attacking chess, and funnily enough he's against the opponent Sipka Ernst, which if you haven't watched my other famous game video on Magnus Carlsen, and he actually played the same opponent. So in this game we have Emory Tate, which is an international master at the time. This game was, I believe, taken place in Netherlands in 2004, and this is a beautiful game, and you'll see there, of course, we get one brilliant move at the end by chess.com. So we start the move with d4, we get knight f6, and we get c4, c5, and d5. So this is a Benoni defense, and as you'll see, it transposes into a variation called the Czech King's Indian defense. So it very much looks like a King's Indian here. With these moves here, we get g6, bishop g7, castling, and it looks like a very similar position to what I get a lot of the time when I play the King's Indian defense, my favorite opening for black. And so we get the move e5, bring the knight out, and then we lock the center here. Very locked position. Response with the move e4, so he's locking it totally, so everything here is closed. You're going to be looking for pawn breaks in the future, as you'll see. We get the move g6, we bring the bishop out, and Emory brings his knight to the center. And so we have a first aggressive move here, g4. Basically Sipka is saying, you haven't developed yet, you're not even castled, and I'm going to take advantage of that here with this aggressive pawn push. Emory responds by putting his bishop on e7, and Sipka responds by blocking off castling rights, basically saying, you haven't castled and I'm not going to let you. You're either going to have to trade the bishops and do something else, or I'm going to get kicked out. And so we get the move a6, h3 as a response, and then Emory decides to either trade the bishops or kick the bishops out. Sipka decides he wants to keep his bishop, and so Emory plays an aggressive move here, h5, so you can either take and try to open, or you can lock the position, which is what Sipka does in this position. And he locks it, so there's a very closed locked position. So you have pawn breaks on places like b5 and f6, which will happen at some point here. And so Emory parks his bishop on g7. It's a very King's Indian style position. We get a3 and castle. And so now Sipka centralizes his knight, and we get the first pawn break of f6. So he's basically opening up. He wants his king here. Sorry, not his king. He wants his queen here. Open up the rook, get the knight in, start a big attack. So we get a battery here protecting this pawn. Emory takes back, and then we get rook b8. Sipka responds by pushing to b5. He's doing a very aggressive pawn push. He wants to open up the position now. So he's tired of the closed position. He wants to start doing trades here. And Emory responds with the move b6, and we get rook b1, and then Emory responds by going rook a8. So I'm not sure why he did this. He kind of just slid here back and forth. Maybe he was coming up positions. Maybe it was some genius plan that I have no idea about. And then we get knight g3 from Sipka. He's attacking. He wants a more active square. And then we get the first interesting move from Emory Tate. He plays rook f4. So he sacrifices the rook because he doesn't like this bishop here. He thinks the bishop is too powerful, and it's actually a mistake to take, which is what Sipka does in the game. And he takes, and he opens up the position here. Basically, he's attacking this pawn here now. He's opened up his bishop, and you can't actually take because you can take this knight with check. You gain tempo, you're winning this pawn, and it's actually a very huge disadvantage. So he doesn't take. Instead, he slides his knight back, and from Emory, we get the move knight e5. So he's basically centralizing the knight. He has a very big attacking position here with his knight. It's very powerful. Sipka slides his king because basically he hasn't castled yet, and he has to go run and hide somewhere, because if he doesn't, he's going to get brutalized. The queen's going to come in, going to start a huge attack here, and the king is not safe in the center of the board. So as you'll see here, Emory takes the pawn, and then Sipka decides to just keep running. Sorry, not that move. He keeps running his king, and he's saying, I'm not safe. I have to get to safety here somewhere. And so Emory keeps going for pawn breaks. He goes b5, and he's trying to basically open this up because now he sees that the king is running over this direction. We get the move king b3, and then we get f3. So he's attacking this knight, and he's also forcing a trade of queens because he doesn't like this queen on the board. So we get a trade here, and then centralize the knight from Sipka. He takes the bishop, and then he takes the knight on c3. Basically, he's saying, I want to trade everything. And in this position, Sipka doesn't actually take the bishop. He thinks that the passed pawn is more powerful than the bishop in this position because Emory saves his bishop, and instead he gets two pawns and thinks this position is more powerful for him, which actually is a mistake. And it was, I think, just better to take the bishop in that position. And so Emory takes the pawn here. Sipka slides his rook over, and we get a defense here from the bishop. other rook. So basically the goal is he needs to get his rooks into here because he has a pass pawn here and he can deliver a checkmate or even force a draw on this 7th rank here. So we get a trade, sorry. We get a trade. He sacrifices the bishop for the knight, and because he thinks this pass pawn is going to be way too powerful. And you'll see later that it is actually part of the key moment that helps him win. So we get rook e7, cutting off the king totally from this back rank. And Emory Tate does his best to block. He defends. So this rook has to go all the way around now because it was blocked off. He pushes the pawn. He's basically saying, I'm going to promote this pawn and you're not going to be able to stop it, which in this case happens. So you'll see that. And we get rook d8. He's trying to attack this pawn. The rook slides over. He thinks that his attack is too powerful here for Emory to stop. And so Emory slides his knight over here to h2. He wants to promote. He's saying, I want to promote. And we get the second last move of the game here. We get rook c1 to c7 and the brilliant move from chess.com, bishop d7. He blocks off the line of sight of both rooks, so there's no chances for draw or checkmate here. And if you trade everything, you're just in a losing endgame because I'm about to promote. And that was a beautiful game, and Sipka resigned after that move. And so that was a very good game of attacking chess by Emory Tate. He had some huge sacrifices here. He sacrificed the rook at some point, of course, to open up the position and get a huge attack here brewing. And that was a great game of attacking chess. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.